Okay, so Chuck poses the question, what is the best approach to engage college kids in understanding direct marketing? Principles first, metrics second. Metrics first, principles second. You can't divide them up like that, Chuck, I hate to say. I don't hate to say. I love to say. Let's go over here. See, oh, we got some people on here. Okay, great. Close that up. I don't know why the sound doesn't work. It used to be I could hear the sound right off, but it won't let me hear it. So we'll pause the sound in case it does come alive. Okay, so if you're like most of us who learn direct marketing, in my case, I had no marketing training whatsoever. So what was the first thing I learned? The first thing was always test something. That's from Vic Hunter. And I think he learned it from, he learned it from a lot of people. He ran a catalog company before he got to me. So that's the way you start. Always test something. What is direct marketing? Throw away the definition from the DMA. It stinks. It always stunk. I used to fight with Pete Hoke about it. For 30 years I fought with him about it. Direct marketing is testing, okay? And by testing, I don't mean the garbage that we see all over the internet about how you can measure everything and you can test clicks on headlines. Yes, you can A/B split. Yes, that's somewhat, but if you saw Tom Fishburne's cartoon from Monday, it said, well, we're testing the exclamation points. Okay, there's some good material on testing, but the basics are the good tests are between the obvious and the trivial. Okay? Like, we used to have debates about whether we should have a toll-free number. And Quill for years had no toll-free number. After it's been proven over and over and over and over, just do it, And if your toll-free number is hidden somewhere, you put it on the piece of paper or you put it on the whatever. Nowadays, you'd say, do we need a website? Yes, you need a website. Do you need to test it? It's not that easy to test. Just build a website. Build a decent website. Okay. Also, don't test the number of exclamation points. That's trivial. You won't get a significant variance, so it won't be something you can take to the bank. The best tests are between the trivial and the obvious. And that's why it helps to have somebody old who's been through hundreds and hundreds of tests tell you what's obvious and what's not, what's trivial and what's not. And that's one of the big flaws in today's measurement environment. That's why I'd say throw away the generate a measurable response. I went around NMOA and I asked the leaders of NMOA, the board members, the president, I said, what's the definition of direct marketing? They all basically centered around generate a measurable response. Okay, well, today's world, everything's measurable. Measurable means we could measure, but we didn't. Right? Okay, so just so you know, I went and talked with Bob Stone. I used to have coffee with him on the way home from Chicago. And I said, Bob, why didn't you put testing in the definition? He said, John, you're right. But all of us were so steeped in it, that we couldn't imagine somebody would measure without testing and would test. I'm sorry, I got to get this right, what he said. He said, John, we can't imagine that somebody'd be able to measure without measuring and measure without testing. Right? So that's where you got to start. You got to start with that. It's all about metrics. And from the metrics flow the principles. So I highly recommend Bob Stone's book, but it's a little too advanced these days. I also suggest that you read Dick Hodgson's book, because in Dick Hodgson's book, this is Bob's book, in Dick Hodgson's book, which I thought was laying around here, it's around here someplace, but I use it a lot. In there, he talks about when direct marketing was a buzzword. And he says, what we used to everybody was doing classes. The DMA couldn't have enough classes. Every time they opened another class, it would sell out. But he said what really happened was it was a buzzword. Everybody wanted to talk about direct marketing, but they didn't really want to do the hard numbers. And I would say that's the same with database marketing, with data-driven marketing, with big data marketing, with artificial intelligence and machine learning marketing. One of the key principles of direct marketing is do not kid thyself. Let's set it up right. Let's have a control group. Let's isolate causal variables. And let's learn from the results, no matter what a disaster we generate. Okay? But that's not the kind of thing that advertising agencies like to hear. I worked for a couple of years in an ad agency. I was the direct marketing guy. And we pitched 5 companies while I was there, and we won 5 out of 5, which is like winning 5 Super Bowls in a row for an ad agency. Why? Every one of them said, we liked that idea of measurable advertising. No, that's what they said because I didn't know any better. And my colleagues came to me and they said, what's unique about direct marketing? We measure. We run an ad and we get results. We get more people to the store. We get sales go up. I said, right, but you're not isolating causal variables. You're not keeping a control group. You're not doing the fundamentals of testing, of scientific experimentation. And that's what kind of prompted me in there. And the fact is, when we land the account, I never got invited to go to the client meetings because the ad agency and the ad manager of the company, neither of them wanted to really know what was working and what wasn't. What they wanted to do was win awards. And I highly recommend, for teaching the principles, Scientific Marketing by Claude Hopkins. No, Scientific Advertising by Claude Hopkins. It's a 100-year-old book, and it says we don't have to debate this because the direct mail guys have been proving this stuff for the last 50 years. What you need is to anchor these kids in the scientific method that they learned in biology in sophomore high school and show them how it extends into advertising and marketing. It's so easy today to set it up well, but the problem we have today is with omni-channel marketing, we have low engagement. Almost no ad has enough impact to measure the results. You can measure them. You can go hire a bunch of attribution experts, and they're going to tell you what, and it's going to be thousandths of a %. And people think that's significant. No, it's not. Okay, teach them about holdout testing. Teach them about statistical significance, that you got to have enough results that matter. That's where you got to go. And I also want to recommend an article that I wrote, and I've got tons of stuff on this. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I do. But on LinkedIn, Chuck, there's an article about how direct marketing swung the election. And I actually wrote to Brad Parscale. Brad Parscale sold hats and yard signs and bumper stickers and stuff. He generated a sale. The importance of a sale. He isolated causal variables, and he knew what was going on. So I wrote up this article, and I sent it to him, and I said, does this make any sense? Is this right? Is this possibly true? And he wrote me back, and he said, John, you're the only one who understood what we did. Okay? So there. So if you want, if your students want to keep Trump from getting reelected, they got to learn direct marketing. Because Brad understands it. And that's how you teach direct marketing. Feel free to give me a call. Anybody who wants to know about direct marketing, I wrote the seminal work on the definition of direct marketing. It's one of the first journal refereed definitions, not the DMA. It says testing. It's all about testing. Give them some great case studies. This is one of the best. I've got a bunch of them. Have a great day. Let's learn real direct marketing. Direct marketing is testing.